What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and I'm once again joined by Tyler. And this time, we have a special guest on, a featuring kind of video, per se, for John Swindle. We're going to be talking all about Jack Sparrow, basically. We're going to have him tell us his thoughts on Pirates 5. We're going to talk about his past work being a Jack Sparrow impersonator and what that kind of means to him and how he got into it and all sorts of things like that. He's been with us in the community for a very long time. Very smart Pirates person, knows a lot of the history and lore about it. So, John, we'll just kind of give it to you. So, tell us about kind of your backstory and maybe how you got into it.
So, when I was little, basically, we all dreamed of being pirates. And then Curse of the Black Pearl came out, and I just fell in love with it. I at the time, it was more of a love for the movie, not the character Jack Sparrow. It wasn't until in 2006 when Dead Man's Chest came out that I actually realized, holy crap, this guy was Johnny Depp. And, like, growing up with three older sisters, everything fucking Johnny Depp. Oh, sorry for the language. But Johnny Depp. So, yeah, he was a common household name. My mom was in love with him. All my sisters were in love with him. When I actually put two and two together with Dead Man's Chest, I'm like, oh, this is the guy. I can kind of understand. And after that movie, I watched it, I think, maybe around 5 times in theaters. Next October that had happened, I decided to dress up for him as Halloween. And someone at this party that I went to just kept on wanting to take pictures with me and like, damn, you look like that dude. I was like, okay, cool, thanks. And then afterwards, I posted some pictures on my, at the time, MySpace page. Damn, I feel old. And then I kept on getting comments like, hey, you look like that Johnny Depp dude. So, I did some research, watched the movies over again and again, and I started to, get more into it, and I looked at my costume like, yeah, this looks like shit, I better update this, so I look more like the guy, because I'm not doing him a justice. And from there, it kind of went on. I would update my costume, I would watch the movies thoroughly, I would read anything I would get into, any articles, any interviews with Johnny Depp. I try to watch as much as his movies just so I can pick up his own mannerisms, not just Jack's, and connect. Like, you could probably, if you've seen all the films, you would have noticed some of Johnny Depp's life, his jokes, his inside jokes, are throughout the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. Like, if you ever watched the film Benny and June, the whole, there's a deleted scene in Curse of the Black Pearl where he talks about grapes, and they're basically humiliated, raisins are humiliated grapes, and that was a deleted scene in Curse of the Black Pearl, as long within Benny and June. And then there's a whole thing with the mayonnaise, the French invented the mayonnaise.
Right.
So all these, like, little inside jokes within his life are also within the Pirates movies. So I thought, if I'm going to know Jack Sparrow, I got to know Johnny Depp. I think it was in 2007. Yeah, that's when At World's End came out. I had pretty much a good full set get-up going. And I had bought this, it wasn't an autobiography, but it was a biography of Johnny Depp, and I read that front to cover just so I could get in his mindset. And I remember reading when he was preparing for the role of Jack Sparrow, he wanted, he based off of Keith Richards and Pepe Le Pew, and he said one of the things he did, especially for Curse of the Black Pearl, was he would sit in a sauna and with clothes on and just see how far he could make it without passing out. Because when you're in that state of mind where there's nothing but heat, you can't think clearly. and I think that's part of Jack for the first, because as we know, he was stranded on the island that Barbossa mutilated on, so he was just there in the heat for 3 days, and with nothing but revenge on his mind, he went farther than I think we've seen him in the other movies with, I need to kill this guy.
Right.
I need to get my shit back. So 2007, I was in a full getup, and I had people wanting me to come to their parties and stuff. So I was like, "Hey, I'm doing all this. I need gas money." So, yeah, I started doing paid gigs under the table at the time. It wasn't until probably 2009, 2010 where it got bigger because of the fourth final film on Stranger Tides came out, and I updated my costume again to fit more of his look in that one. And at that time, I was trying to be an actor aside from just doing Jack Sparrow. And I had done like 8 stage plays and one independent film with some writers that I knew around the area, because I lived in Northern California, so everyone's, in the movie business around there.
Yeah.
So, I got into this independent film and stuff, and I met this lady, Laura Ben Dixon. She thought some of my auditions were really good, and she asked what else I did. And I was like, well, I do Jack Sparrow impersonations. And she's like, okay, let me hear it. And I was like, all right, maybe I'm dishonest, and a dishonest man, you can always trust to be dishonest, honestly. But a honest man should have a manager such as yourself, eh? And she's like, oh, wow, yeah, you know what? I am in this business. I'm going to sign you on to my agency, pro bono, and see where we can take you. At that time, I got onto television about 4 times as Jack Sparrow. I did events with Yahoo, where I do a walk around Jack Sparrow. And I was with this agency, Henna Gardens, because at the time, she wanted me to look into maybe doing that at Disneyland or Disney World. And we looked into this, and I was talking to Alex about this the other night. Yeah, so I looked into it, and Disneyland had, at the time, back in 2009, 2010, they were a lot more strict on their characters. You couldn't have facial hair. You couldn't act drunk. You couldn't say rum. I'm like, well, there's like half the character right there. And so I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. I don't think their version is true to Jack.
Right.
That's all I really wanted to do was be this character. And so we went a different route. I did it independently with Henna Gardens. They let me do what I do as long as it wasn't illegal. And there was like some licensing to get away from, because we couldn't say Captain Jack Sparrow because that's copyrighted.
Oh.
So we had to say like the captain or that Pirate Jack or something. We did like say a pirate for hire. And that's how we got around copyright rules. But yeah, it started to take off. I did more and more gigs, and I fell in love with it. I would even do it without just doing gigs. I'd go to Renaissance fairs, pirate festivals, anything in the area where I could dress up. And I just fell in love with it. And then back in, I think, 2011, right after On Stranger Tides, I think it was in October, things started to die down. I wasn't getting as many gigs because during the winter, no one really wants to do pirate parties and whatnot. They want everything done inside. So, I needed money at the time, so I got with my girlfriend at the time, who's my wife now. She said, hey, why don't you come over to Colorado, come visit me, see if you like it out here. I did that, and then I stayed with her for a while, and I was like, yeah, I kind of like it up here. I'll try some things out, and I just got a job at Office Max at the time, and then I was just working. I didn't really do anything as Jack for a while. I think I went to like the Ren Fair or something 1 or 2 times. That was about it for Jack. And I started to live a normal life, and then we got married, and I was like, oh shit, I need money. So that's when I joined the military, and I've been doing that for about 4 years now. And then it wasn't until 2015 when I started looking more into pirates, because I'm always reading or watching the movies or listening to the music just to get in the mood. And I was like, oh, they're doing another one. I gotta do this again. And I looked into avenues of being able to be Jack Sparrow within the military. And so I'll go to do parties in the community, or go read to kids and whatnot, visit hospitals, and that gives me kind of we have EPRs, and we're rated on how we're doing, so that's like extra credit for that. So it helps me with my job as well. But yeah, I think the number one thing I love about it is how happy people are when they see Jack Sparrow. Even if they hate him and think he's stupid, they have a smile on their face.
Yeah.
And I think being able to be this iconic person that everyone knows and loves, I'm helping out in some way by making someone smile.
Right. So now you have his voice, which I told you a couple of days ago too. I think as you've gotten older, and even as Johnny Depp's gotten older, I think it matches more along him in 4 or 5. Like, just my personal, that's what I kind of hear from it, which is great. So when you were getting into it, what you said, so you looked at like his background of how he did it. What do you look for? Like, how do you get the walk? How do you get the sound of his voice? How do you do like the smaller things like that?
Keith Richards. He's correct. I would watch Rolling Stones performances, because Keith Richards is a big part. And when Keith was younger, he had this swagger about him, and his accent was a little lighter back then. And you can tell throughout the 5 films so far, Jack's voice has changed in every single one.
Yep.
Not so much in 2 and 3. Since they were filmed back to back, it's pretty much the same. But from 1 to 2 to 4 to 5, they've drastically changed, and you don't really notice it until you've actually watched it as all back to back.
Right.
And so, just constantly hearing him, watching the Pirates movies, watching how Johnny Depp talks too, because he's from Kentucky and they speak a certain way. Let me see if I can do Johnny. Yeah, man, I think what it was, man, was when and he stutters a lot too.
Yeah,
he's a shy guy.
Yeah.
When he's in character, he's in character. When he's not in character, he's this shy, exclusive dude.
Yeah, it's crazy in that, because he was on Ellen, and they were talking about him doing Donald Trump, and how Donald Trump, like when he talks, him and Johnny Depp, like what Johnny Depp was saying, how he has a harder time finishing sentences than him. And like in that moment, I realized, like, yeah, actually Johnny Depp can't finish a single sentence, which is crazy, because like you said, when he's as Jack Sparrow, especially like the monologue in At World's End, that's a long, with the Pirate Lords, that's a very long monologue for someone who doesn't talk in complete sentences to say. So like it's incredible the change he can do for that.
Yeah, if you actually pay attention to Johnny himself, not just Jack Sparrow, you can realize, yeah, he changes completely.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not all physically and with his attractiveness, but with his mannerisms, he does change. Which is also weird, because everyone says when you meet Johnny, the closest person that is like him is his character of Jack Sparrow. And I think it's his comedy, how funny Johnny himself is. How were we talking about how his voice changes, and how mine goes into what I was looking for, 5? Yeah, he's drunk.
A lot.
It's a lot different. I have to slur more. It gets a little high pitch at times, and a lot of people say Mad Hatter. And if you, I think there's like there's one scene in Dead Man's Chest where it actually does kind of go high pitch in the same sort of way. But as we get older, our voices changes, and I kind of see why his voice has changed, because it's been like 4 years from when they were shooting the last movie.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a long couple. Like, you can tell. I mean, he's gotten much older since 4. Like, that's just what happens. That's the problem with this movie got delayed a couple, like in multiple stages, so that didn't help. So what did you think of Pirates 5 overall? What did you think of Jack, maybe looking at it from a, like, that you act as him on the side. So, like, what were you looking for from him in 5? What did you think about him in 5, and how does that affect you going forward?
From all my research that I've done for this character, and it's kind of stated in the movie that, Jack's hit his low point. This is, he has bad luck, nothing's going right for him. Then it's kind of funny, because if we look back at it, at this point in time, nothing right was going with Johnny Depp either.
True.
So, I'm pretty sure he put some of that into his performance as well. But looking through all 5 movies, Jack's changed. And I think I've told you guys this before when I was doing my research. He's in my own theory, but Johnny kind of says it for the first film when he did an interview. He's somewhat going mad. And we see that a lot in At World's End. He's talking to himself.
Right.
And I believe his madness is within inside him, and he doesn't know what to do at this point in his life, and he's just getting drunk and plastered and doesn't know who he is. No one's respecting him as a captain, like the captain he once was, where everyone knew Jack Sparrow. No one knows him. No one cares about him. We even see in one of his wanted posters, it's just down to 1 pound. No one cares about him.
People think he's dead. The guy on the naval ship, when they go into the Devil's Triangle, he doesn't even think he's alive anymore.
No, yeah, they don't care. And if you see how drunks are when they're depressed, they don't seem like themselves. They don't talk like themselves. They don't think like themselves. And I think, in my opinion, that's kind of what Johnny was going for. He's not himself anymore. And what we see as an audience, since we've seen these films, this isn't the same Jack we know and love. What people say is he's a caricature of himself. He's not Jack Sparrow. But that's the only thing that Jack is holding on to, because that's all he has.
It's a good point. So what did you think? What did you think of the? Now, we talked a little bit about the whole movie. Let's get your opinion just on the whole film. You liked it, right?
Oh yeah, I loved it. Especially the second time I watched it, because when we're watching it for the first time, we're all excited because it's been a long time since we've seen this. And these movies these days are, especially this one's action-packed. It's flying through the first couple of scenes. It's going by fast. We're not really picking up on everything. I watched it the second time. I actually watched it yesterday, just so I was ready for this. When I watched it slowed down a lot, because I knew what was going to happen, and I knew what was going on, and I can pinpoint what I needed to look for. So when I was watching it, it kind of was better, because I knew what was going on, and I could see it more in a real time than how fast it was the first time I watched it. So I was able to pick up on little cues, like I mentioned, and this is something else that the other movies don't really pick up on. They just mention the young Jack. He was closer to the real Jack, and his little snarky ass.
Right.
He was a snarky little guy. And what I picked up on was so the debate of how Jack got his name, the Sparrow, and Tyler was even saying about this how would anyone else know that he's the Sparrow? Only Salazar called him that, and no one heard Salazar say it. He only said that to himself, and he died, so no one else could have known that he was Jack the Sparrow. So, in my opinion on how he actually got the name, he was in the crow's nest and he was, flapping around. So, my only logical explanation of how he gets his name is his crew sees him, they're like, oh yeah, he is acting like a bit of a sparrow. He's up there flapping around. That's the only explanation I can get out of how they wanted to shoot that, because yeah, Salazar was the only one that actually said it, and he died, so no one actually but his crew heard him say the Sparrow, and they were trapped in the triangle for all that time. So unless if you're one of the dead men or one of the men that he kept alive to tell the tale,
right? That's the only. That's the one I was leaning to more, but your point's good too. Like it's possible the crew could have seen it the same way that Salazar saw it, but I was even thinking about it from maybe a perspective that if Salazar tells everybody that he leaves behind to go find this guy.
Yeah, but that can't be right, because remember, Salazar was trapped until with the events of Pirates 5, and Jack Sparrow already had the name Jack Sparrow.
Well, I'm saying like say like a year after Salazar crashed, like in the flashback, say the first ship that came in that Salazar killed and left one guy, he maybe said, go find this person, and he mentioned the name Jack Sparrow, and
I see.
you know what I mean? Like maybe he said Jack the Sparrow, and they said, who's that? And then he said, well, Captain of the Wicked Wench.
I remember a guy, what's his name? Jack the Sparrow.
Right.
Sparrow, yeah.
Yes, and I mean it's reaching. Both theories are reaching. So like that wasn't the highlight of 5, in my opinion.
No.
Messing that up in that way.
It was, but it was also a great scene.
Yeah, the flashback was. I thought it was really good.
Really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was very cocky too. Not cocky. He was very like confident and like, I don't know, like I'm better than you. It felt like.
Yeah, him just being a kid and he's able to outsmart this really smart navigator.
Right. Yeah. Him just being like kind of free in a way, and like having confidence in himself that he can do it.
Just becoming captain seconds after.
Right.
The man at the wheel dies.
Right. So, what'd you think about now? What'd you think about the ending, and Jack kind of like turning it around? And where do you see Jack and yourself going forward as Jack in the next years in between 5 and 6, if 6 happens, and so on?
Well, what I've been telling you and Tyler is, if you read the novelization, it kind of explains it a little more than we see in the film, and there's a lot more funny parts in it. But like Tyler was saying, Jack says, "Oh, my curse has been lifted."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's like, my luck is back or something.
Yeah, his luck has been restored, and we kind of see it in the film right when he gets to the wheel. When he gets to the wheel, it's kind of subtle, but you see him transform into the true Jack that we know.
Yeah.
He's that Jack Sparrow that we all know and love. And he sounds more like the Jack. And I think that was the only way they could really depict him, becoming himself again. He has his pearl, he's a respectable captain again, and he's going to his horizon. And I feel from this point on, with that ending, he's going to be that Jack that we liked in the other movies, especially 2 and 3. That the 6th film, he's going to be that serious Jack. He has everything he wants. He can do pirating again and be successful.
And so where do you see yourself? So what's your future with Jack Sparrow?
I'm definitely going to do more of it. What I want to do is, if and when I get out of the military, I want to start this company with my mom and my sister. They do costumes and all these accessories that they make, and they're beautiful, and they're time period pieces, and they do it all by hand. They want to kind of make it true to the era. So I want to get with them and have a little company of like costume pieces, or it would also be with performances, and you could hire me to be a Jack Sparrow, and then a motley crew. I can get some other cast members together, and we can go out, do parties or events, whatever you need, and then we can also sell some merchandise on the way.
Right. Very nice.
That's kind of what I want to do. Or over here in Colorado, where I'm at now, they have, unlike in California, they have Renaissance fairs, but they're all scattered throughout the state. It's not just one set location. Here in Colorado, they do like a Renaissance fair, and they have this huge pirate ship and all these pirates, and they always are looking for a new Jack Sparrow because their Jack Sparrows are just weird. Yeah, I've like seen a couple, and one of them had a green vest, or one of them even wearing a bandana. I was like, do they even know what they're... Be who you are, and if you're going to be someone else, put yourself into that. I think we all have special experiences that we all go through and that shape our lives, and for at least for our generation, I think Pirates is going to make that part in our lives a bit special.
Well, we thank John Swindle for joining us. If you have any questions for him or for us or for anything, put in the comments below. He's always in every video's comments putting what he thinks in it, so he'll, you know, if there's anything you want to ask, he'll be there and we'll be there. So thank you, John, for joining us for this.
Problem night.
And it probably is not the last time you see or hear from him on the channel, but we thank him for doing this. Make sure you stay tuned for further videos. We have another one coming out later this week talking about something special, and then we will continue Pirates content from that video. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure you subscribe to Podcast Now, our YouTube channel. Make sure you like and share this video, and we will see you on the next one.